Hey everybody, Heather here. So today we're going to be coloring this adorable Whimsy stamp image called Strawberry Dreamer, and it's going to be raining soon here in Oregon, so I thought this umbrella image would be perfect for that. I will put a link down in the description box to this card kit and everything else I used to make the little card kit, including the dies and this cute little die, and I love this butterfly up here. So you can just click on those and head over to the store and grab one if you want. And since she's super cute, I don't expect her to last very long, so if you want one, head over there and grab her right away. So I've already stamped my image on Nina 80-pound Solar Bright cardstock with Memento Tuxedo black ink, so let's color. Okay, so I'm going to start out by outlining my image, and for that I'm going to use C00, and I'm just going to do a quick outline. I'm just going to go right around my entire image with a quick little outline, and I never worry about getting it on her because it's such a light color, or any of my images. I can erase it if I want, but since it's so light, I never worry. I usually just, if I get it on my person or my image, I just leave it there and then color right over it. But it gives it kind of a little shadow around the outside. It makes it look like it's popping off the page just a little bit, not so flat. And get those little swirls there. Go up around this. I guess that's a swirl, so I better do close to the leaf there. And back around here. And we're going to go around the umbrella. And we'll get the stick. And back down to the other side. And back down to our foot here. And then also, right in here, this is where there's no hair right here, but this flower is in her hair. And in between where her hair swirls right here, this is background, so I'm going to go ahead and color that in. Next, let's hop down here and do the ground, give her something to stand on. And for that, we're going to use W2, W1, and W0. I'm going to start with my W2, and let's bring it up here a little bit past this bow, so it looks like it's coming out. She's not standing on a straight line. Brush away from my shoe. The same on this side. I'm going to fill that center area in there. And then, let's see, I better bring this up just a little bit more. And then I'm going to grab my W1. And we're just going to extend that line just a little bit more. Give the shadow just a little bit more substance here. And this side, since she's got this umbrella, I'm going to bring it out just a little bit more. And to finish off, I'm going to take W0 and bring it out just a tad bit more. And then I like to go back with my darkest color, which was W2, and just make my shadow just a little bit darker next to her shoes. And in a couple places I got some ink on her shoe, so I'm going to take my colorless blender right here and just swipe over that real quick and get it off of her foot, so it won't mess with my red. Next, let's do her skin, and for that we're going to use E11, E21, E00, E000, and for her cheeks I'm going to use R20 and R30, and for her lips I'm going to use R43. So I'm going to go ahead and start with her arm. Let's see, a little bit closer here. And I'm going to take my E11 first, and she's got just a little tiny patch of her arm showing right over here next to her sleeve. So I'm going to do a little dab of my color on that. And then I'll start on this arm. I'm going to bring that down. Just the tip of my pen over here to her elbow. And then on this side, I'm going to go down her thumb and down the inside of her arm. And then her fingers are kind of over the top of the thing of her stick here, so I'm going to add a little bit of color on that. And underneath of the stick. And let's do this little indentation she's got in her hand there. And then on top of the stick, I'm going to do just a tiny, tiny bit. Next, I'm going to go with E21, and I'm going to fill in this little bitty space I have on this second arm over here. And then over here, we're going to brush on top of our E11. And we'll add a little bit of this color to these fingers. And then E00 to fill in the top up here. And I just got a little bit of white left that I'm going to fill in with my E000. Then we're going to go up here and start on her neck. So again, I've grabbed E11. And then E21. E00. And then E000 to fill it the rest of the way in. For our face, again, we're going to use E11. So I want to do a thin line right next to her bangs here, or her hair. And I'm going to bring this down here onto her cheek just a little bit. Down, I'd say about right where her neck starts on this side. And then I'm going to go with E21. So I want to do a shadow on this side of her face. So again, I'm just using a small line on this side. And then up here, you want to brush along that previous color to soften the edge of that line. I'm not making it not too big. Next we'll use E00. And I brushed right over the top of her eyebrow. It's such a small area that I'm not going to be too stressed about that. And then E000. And it looks kind of sketchy still, but I'm going to add our cheek color. So R20. And let's see here. Let's bring R20 from this side. And then R30 to soften the edges. And then I go back with my colors again. So I'm going to take E21. And I usually bring the color out a little bit more. My line's a little bit wider. And then E00. And then E000 to go over the entire thing. I think my cheeks have lightened a little bit, so I'm going to take my R20 again. Add that back in. And then R30. and then I take my E000 and go over that area. Then for her lips, we're going to use R43, and so she's got a little top lip up here already drawn. I'm going to go ahead and use this on that, and then this bottom little spot here, she's got a little pouty lip, so I'm just going to use that to add my color in. Now let's add a little bit of color to her eyes, and for that I'm going to use B04 at my colorless blender. So I'm going to take my B04 and just add a little bit of this around the outside here. And then I just took my colorless blender and lightly went over the top of it, just a little bit to tone it down. Now let's do her hair, and for that I'm going to use E47, E44, E43, and E42. And I'm going to start with my E47, and let's add a little bit of color up here where this flower is. Okay, so right up here she's got a part like right here, so I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of this right up there at the top. I'm actually going to cheat and bump this color right up next to this flower petal so there's not this little space right here. Like that. And then let's bring the color down in between this petal. And over here on this one, it kind of curves underneath, or out from underneath this section, so I'm going to go ahead and give it a little swipe of color in that little bend. And here this section is under, so I'm going to go ahead and color that whole part in right there. And this little section is under too, so I'm going to give that a little swipe of dark. And let's see here, let's make this go this out of that little bow, and then we better add a little bit of dark right here where it's coming out from her face. Just add a few little streaks in there, and we want to do the same thing for this side where it's coming out of her away from her face. And I'm just making them little now because later I'm going to come back after I've colored her and put some dark streaks back in, so we'll just use a little bit for the second. Oh, and right here where it's tucking underneath, let's go ahead and add some right here where it's kind of going underneath this little section. And let's make this go up. And I think I'm actually going to do some phyllo streaks coming this way, just a little bit. Okay, we'll start with that, and then I'm going to go with E44. I'm going to go back up here, add some color on top. I want to go around this petal. Then I think that I will add a little bit where this is coming out from underneath of this flower. Okay, and let's do a little bit right here. And of course we want to soften this edge of this color. Same for down here, we want to soften the edge of this. Just work our way back to the other side. try to bring a little bit down from underneath this petal. Okay, now I'm going to go with E43 and add some more shadows. And again, I'm just working my way back across. And I'm going to fill it in with my E42. This little spot right there. Now I go back, after I've got it all colored, I take my E47 and add my shadows lines back in. So I'm just going to work my way back around and add a few little streaks in here. And I make them longer usually than I did the first time. Add some shadows back in here so it doesn't look so flat. She's going to have some streaks in her hair now. I think I'll also take my E44 pen and add just a few more streaks. It's still looking like it maybe needs a little bit more. So I'm going to go ahead and use my next color. Add just a few more lines in there. And I'm trying to use just the tip of my pen so I get a very small streaky line. Now let's go down here and work on her socks since we have the browns out. We're going to use E43, E42, and E41, and I'm going to do each alternate stripe on her socks with these colors. So I'm going to start with E43, and I'm going to skip this first one that's just barely seen underneath this ruffle. And I'm going to go down to the next one, and then I'm going to skip every other line. And same for this side. Well, this side I'm going to do underneath of this little ruffle. And I also want to do the opposite side. Work my way down to this end. And then I'm going to go with E42 next. I want to touch down on top of your last color and just brush it out towards the middle. I want to leave room for my last color so I'm not coloring all the way across. And then I'm going to fill those in with E41. Next, let's go up here and do the bear too, since we still have the browns out. So I'm going to again use E43, E42, E41, and for inside his ears, I'm going to use R20. I'm going to start with my E43, and let me tip him a little bit here. And I want to add some shadows on the bottom of his legs. So let's just go ahead and do this one, and this section. And then I'm going to bring this line up here underneath of his fanny that goes next to her body. And then his arm, which is touching his body, I want to add a little bit of shadow in there. And then for his face, let's do right here next to her shirt. That, but I'm also going to soften that a little bit by flicking away from this line a little bit, just to give it a little bit softer edge. Next, I'm going to go over E42. I'm going to touch down on top of your previous color. We're just going to add some more color in there. And then up here, I'm going to go I'm going to bring this color around to this side of his face. Then I'm going to grab E41 and I want to fill it in. I also want to do the bottoms of his feet. You could also make those dark brown if you wanted. So they're a different color. I colored right over the top of his eye. And then to finish him off, I'm going to take my R20 and just color the inside of his ear here. And I think I'll take my E41 and just lightly go over this edge right here just a little bit. Soften that up. Next, let's do this umbrella stick, and for that I'm not going to mess around. I'm just going to color it with E42. And I'm also going to color the top of her umbrella that color too. Now let's do the alternate stripes on her socks, and for that I'm going to use E81. And I just took this and just lightly, well, I'm going to go underneath, there's just a little section up here underneath her sock. I'm going to fill that in just a little bit, all the way across. And then for these socks, I'm just going to flick the edges. As I'm flicking, my pin is picking up, so it's lighter out here at the edges where the white is. And then I just left mine like that, but if you're worried about that line, you could take your colorless blender and just swipe over the top of the entire area there and blend those colors together. And I actually got some on this bow, so as long as I got my colorless blender out, let's erase my mistakes. Get all that color off of her shoe. I'm also going to use this on the center of these flowers up here in her hair. So I'm just going to dab those with some color, like that, and also the flowers on the umbrella. Like that. And then for her shirt, we're also going to use this color on that. So I'm just going to add some shadows. So I'm using just the tip of my pen to go along my shirt edge here. So let's go along the sleeve, and there's a little wrinkle right here, so I'm going to add that. And let's go right here where the sleeve touches this bow. And then for each of these lines, I'm just going to go down those like so. And I'm also going to give each of these little circles at the bottom of her shirt a little dab of color like that. And then I'm just going to leave it. So next, let's hop down here and do her pants, and for that we're going to use B02, B01, B00, and B000. I'm going to start with my B00, or my B02, and I'm going to give it a, and she's got some strawberries on her pants, so I'm going to avoid those, but I'm going to go right underneath this ruffle. And then I'm going to do inside the crook of her leg. And I'm also going to do this side right here on her leg. And I'm going to pull this line down to this strawberry on this side. Then I'm going to go with B01. And I want to soften that line, so I'm going to touch down on top of it and just pull away a little bit. And let's brush on this one. I'm going to go with B00 and bring this color out this way a little bit further. And then I'm going to go over the entire thing with B000. Okay, looks good. So we got the blues out too, so let's go down here and do these shoe bows while I'm thinking of it. So I've got B02 and B00. I'm going to take my B02 first. I'm going to do the center and just a little bit on these little creases that are in the bow. And this side. And then B00, make sure I grab the right pin just to fill those in. Nothing fancy for those. And I think I'll just darken it up just a little bit, so I'm going to take my B02 and go over the center and that just a little bit close to the edge, or the middle there. And I'm going to leave it like that. Then I'm going to go up here, and I also want to do, this little ribbon she's got across her shirt. I'm going to use B00 for that. And I'm just going to color it in. I'm just going to go straight across. That. And then let's hop up here and do this wonderful umbrella. So again, I'm going to use B02, B01, B00, B000. I'm going to start with my B02, and I'm going to hold my pen a little bit of an angle so that I can flick my pen up so that my line will get less ink at the top. And I think I'm going to bring that up just a little bit more. And I'm just going to do that all the way across the umbrella. And again, I think I'll bring it up just a little bit more. work my way over to this side. Then I'm going to grab B01 and we're going to work our way back the other way. And I'm thinking I'm going to bring this side up over the top of this flower here. And go around this flower, and I'm going to connect it to this side. I'm going to go with B00. And bring that past that flower. And work my way across to this other side. And go around that flower. And then I want to fill the whole thing in with B000. I'm going to go up here and fill in the rest of my area with my white here first. And then I like to go over the entire thing. Actually, I think I'm going to do the whole color again just to darken it up. So I'm going to go with B02. Let's give it a little bit more color here. And a couple places there I went out of line, so I'll fix that later with my colorless blender. And this is B01. B00. And then my B000 over the entire thing. So I'm going to start down here at the bottom and just work my way to the top of each of these little sections. And then for those flowers that I got the blue on, I'm going to take my colorless blender, because I left those white and then added some Stickles Stardust over the top of them after I did my card to give them some sparkle, but I didn't color these in. So I'm just going to push that color right back off of all of those so that they're white again. Like that. Next, let's hop down here and do the strawberries, and for that I'm going to use R08, and I didn't do anything fancy. I'm just going to color them in. And there is a green section at the top, so I left that, and I'll color those here. And after I do the red, we'll put some green on there, and she also has a leaf in her hair that's going to have some green. that. I'm just going to color all the berries in. Like that. And then let's go ahead and do her shoes, and for that we're going to use R08, R05, and R02. I'm going to start with my R08, and let's just color this back little section in. And then I'm going to bring that color right around the front of her shoe, like this. And then for this shoe, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go right along the edge and do the back, and then I'm going to color the sole in. Then I'm going to go with R05 next. And touch down on top of your previous color to soften your line. And then we're going to fill it in with R02. Give it a couple of swipes back and forth. Blend those colors, because R02 from R05 is a pretty big jump. That's pretty dark. And then we're going to use these colors also up here on these flowers. So again, I'm going to start with R08. And I'm just going to give each of these flowers a little dab of color next to the center. And some of them have a little line there that I'm just going to go ahead and go right up that line and make the whole thing red. And remember, this one's the umbrella. And then we'll do R05. Add just a little bit more. And then we're going to fill it in with R02. And I just go over the entire petal, kind of swirl it around in a little circle and mix all the colors together. Next, let's do the bows in her hair. So again, I'm going to start with R08. Oh, and it looks like this right here was a ponytail. I'll have to fix that later. And here's a little section right here. And over here, there's a little bit of bow. And then R05. And then R02 to fill those in. And then for this little piece of hair right here, I'm going to take my E44 because I missed it. And I'm just going to color it in. Next, we're going to use G82 and G20. And right here, there's a leaf in this flower. So I'm going to take my G82, color it closest to my petal, and then color the little line in this leaf. And then I'm just going to swirl my G20 around on the leaf to blend that color together. And then I'm going to take my G82 down here on all these little strawberry stems and just color them in. So there is our super cute Strawberry Dreamer all colored up. Doesn't she look fabulous? And again, here's the finished card. So I've added some Spica glitter pen to her hair in clear and some Stickle Stardust to the flowers on her umbrella and to the bows on her shoe. Also, these are new dies I have in the store. They're from La La Long Crafts. This is a lattice border die and a fancy butterfly. This is also a die. It's called Love Expressions by Penny Black, so you can pick that up in there. I would love for you to come over to the store if you're not interested in card kits and see what there is available. I have Copics and paper and dies and all kinds of great stuff. Also, if you have a question, please leave me a comment. I'm happy to get back to you on all questions. And it'd be great if you could hit the like button so that you can share the video with others. And if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and do that so that you get all my new videos when they come out. Otherwise, I hope you had fun coloring with me today. Thanks for joining me. And we'll see you next time. Have a great day. Bye.